everyone. So I wanted to go over a little tutorial for you all about how it is that you can create your video for your research poster presentation for the Gabriel E. Gallardo Research Student Leadership and Advocacy Symposium. And so first off, we will pretend that you have your poster ready on a PowerPoint slide. And these are some examples of different types of posters. And before I go into how you add your audio recording on top of them, I do want to review kind of good practices for poster design for your research, especially knowing that your poster is going to be seen and accessed exclusively through a computer screen. So you basically want to make sure that your poster is as legible as possible and doesn't require the viewer to have to really get super close to the screen, to squint, hurt their eyes in order to see it. And so if we make this presentation full size, we can sort of see, okay, acknowledgements is super small. That's hard for us to see from here. So maybe like if you're going to have acknowledgements and things like that, it's okay for it to still be small print, but maybe a little bit bigger than that. Also that the authors are somewhat small on this poster. And so, you know, you want to take ownership of your work and make it clear that, you know, you're the author. And so maybe that would be another thing to increase the font size of. But in general, this poster has many things to recommend it in terms of poster design. You can easily see what the name of the poster, the research is. You can easily see what are the major findings in this study. It looks like there are 4 major findings. And then you can see the big picture takeaway that for this particular species of flower, the trout lily, the color of the anthers, which is over here red or yellow, is seemingly and surprisingly ecologically neutral. So this poster has a lot to recommend it. It is actually a poster that has won poster design back when we did research presentations in person. And yeah, you can see that there's a lot of visual elements, that text is pretty much kept to a minimum. That's also really good practice, again, particularly when we are presenting online and we're kind of limited to what we can easily see on the screen. And the other thing to note is that you could sort of see as I was talking about this poster that it might have been hard to follow exactly what parts I was referring to because you don't have access to a pointer. You're not able to see where it is that I am referring to when I'm talking about different things. So I definitely recommend that as you are recording your poster presentations, that you give visual cues about where the viewers should be looking on your poster. So, you know, include title of my research presentation is Why Does Anther Color Vary in Trout Lily? And then the name of that flower in the Latin designation is Erythronium americanum. And there are 4 major findings of this. The first major finding you can see in the upper left-hand corner is ... And you can see with that map of the northeast portion of the United States, you know, and then some more explanatory information. The next finding I want to discuss is in the upper right-hand corner, that color does not affect pollen tube growth. And to sort of explain this graph, I have 2 graphs that are going against frequency compared to contest outcome, and then continue to explain a little bit of the findings from your graphs. And then just keep on doing that, but you are making it clear to the viewer where it is they should be looking, and you're sort of walking them through the explanations of the graphs, the images, the data visualizations, whatever those might be that you have provided for them to kind of understand what your major findings are. The other thing you'll see from this poster example is that it doesn't necessarily follow the typical, okay, this is the introduction section, this is my methods, this is my data results, these are the discussion of my findings, and then these are the implications. You can definitely have research posters that do that, but this is a great example of something that is a little bit different, is really focused in on just what the findings are, and where the research purpose can be clearly seen in just the title of that research poster. The next example we have to show is going to be this one, which has also won a poster presentation award at SACNAS. And again, you can see lots of visual elements. That text, this one is a little bit more text heavy, but is still fairly simple. And that there is just a lot of visual diagrams that you can walk the viewer through. And this one is one that does follow a more traditional poster presentation design. And again, you can see that that works perfectly well. So if that floats your boat more, use it, whatever you feel more comfortable with. And that, you know, this person had acknowledgments where they kind of use logos. That's an easy way to do acknowledgments that I definitely want to highlight. And then the other thing that is great about this poster is that they have this really fun graphic in their introduction kind of going over, you know, what the process is. And so anytime you can have that type of visualization to explain your research process or methods, the better it'll be for the viewer. Again, another example of a poster that won a research presentation award also for SACNAS. And again, you can sort of see this is a kind of hybrid version. You know, you have some traditional sections in terms of highlighting the research question, highlighting the methods, highlighting the findings, but they have also definitely made it super concise, and a lot of room is given to their data visualizations. So again, you know, think about what works best, but as much as possible, use images, use visuals, minimize the amount of text that you're using, and make sure that things can easily be seen and are legible from the size of a full-sized computer screen. And then this is our final example of poster design. And so this one has lots of really pretty images. There's a lot of, you know, color coding kind of across the different types of mosquito this person was looking at. And this person actually does have a fairly traditional presentation organization, but they have used different topic headers. And so instead of having a topic header that says introduction, it says, why are we studying mosquito larvae? Instead of, you know, research purpose or question, it says, what are we trying to do? And so that's another way that you can sort of introduce a little bit more creativity or appeal to your research poster is, you know, just mixing it up a little bit about what your title is in the different header sections, and still giving the same type of content, but presenting it in a slightly different way. And so something to consider as well. And then finally, you can sort of see that these folks, some of these folks had it in a more square background. Some took up the full size of the screen. I do recommend that, since you know that this is an online format, that you design your poster to fill up a widescreen computer view. And then that is sort of review of poster design. And so to get into how it is that you add audio recording to this. So let's say this one screen is my poster, and I am ready to record my research talk. So what I will go to is slideshow over here. I will press on record slideshow. You'll only have one slide, so it won't make much of a difference for you, but, you know, I will say that I want to record from the current slide. And then it takes me to this screen where I am able to start recording my presentation. And so I can press record, and down here in the bottom is where you can either put your camera on and off. It's automatically off because I'm using my camera for this Panopto recording, but if it wasn't being accessed for it, then you might need to go down here to turn your camera off, or turn like a little bit of, there might be an inset of your face automatically displayed, and you don't want your face to appear because then it will take up room on your poster. So make sure that it's just the audio that's getting recorded, and then you press record, you do your talk, you press stop. So let's pretend that you have successfully recorded, and then obviously you can, clear the recording if you fudged it and want to re-record. You have an idea down here of the timer, how long it is. Again, for your poster presentations, we would like your poster presentations to be about 5 minutes in length. So please do your best to keep it to 5 minutes or less. And, when you feel good about your recording, you're ready to stop, then you press stop and you exit out of this. And then you should have a recording. And then what happens is that then you will save your file, and that you will make sure that you save it as an MPEG-4 video, because you'll want to keep all of the recordings that you just made and make sure that that's reflected. So you will save it not as a PowerPoint presentation, but as an MPEG-4 video. And then you will title it to be your name. So full name, GEG Symposium, recorded poster presentation. Ta-da! And then save. Okay. So we'll say that you saved your poster presentation. At this point, we would love for you to then upload your poster presentation to YouTube. And on YouTube, then provide us the link. And also YouTube provides automatic closed captioning, so that's why we would love for you to use YouTube. For University of Washington students, I will be providing a written guide that you can use to do, to access your UW affiliated YouTube account. For all other student presenters who are coming from an outside institution, if you don't have access to YouTube, you should still be able to upload pretty easily something to YouTube, create a link, and then send that link to us in the desired form. And what that looks like is, you go over to YouTube, and so youtube.com, and sign into it, create a channel. And once you have a channel, then you should be able to upload the video that you want to add. So create, upload video. Nope, I did not want to learn more. Sorry about that. And then select the file that you want to upload. And so in this case, I'm trying to think of a good video recording. Should have thought about this in advance. Let me think about this. Okay, so we have a video here. And so I will upload this video to YouTube. And then that all looks fine. So the title, you would want your title to be the name of your research project. So whatever the title, research project title. Description, welcome to just cut and paste your abstract here, abstract text. And then next, it is not made for kids. And then video elements. And so you shouldn't need to add any video elements, so you can just go ahead and skip this. Checks. Also go to next, and then visibility. And so with the visibility, we do want this to be public, and that is pretty much that. And then we publish. And so the video is still uploading. You can see that it takes a little bit of time for that to happen. But once it is finished uploading, you should then be able to provide us with the link that you have for your video. And then we will then connect that YouTube link to our conference platform page so that that video is embedded within the conference experience, and folks can basically click on a page that's like your poster booth and then get to play the video and listen to your poster presentation, and then to also message you directly if they have any questions or comments about, the research that you've done and want to connect with you there. So hopefully this guide has been helpful for you. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. And the way that you would do that is by emailing uwmcnair@uw.edu. So that is uwmcnair@uw.edu. I just wanted to add a little bit more content about how it is that you add subtitles and edit the subtitles to your research poster presentation, and then also correct a slight miswording that exists earlier in the video. So earlier in the video, when I was saying for your content, how to set the visibility, I said to do it as public. And actually, probably the one that is going to be more appealing to folks is going to be listing it as unlisted. That way, what happens is that random folks can't just like search and find your research presentation. They have to have the link in order to access it. And so in this case, the link would only really be available through the conference platform for the Gabriel E. Gallardo Symposium. And so that makes it a little bit more protected. But if you do want your research presentation to be fully public and open, then feel free to keep it on public, but do make sure that you have the okay from your research mentors to do that, especially if you are working on any research that is meant to be a little bit more private in how it's shared. And then, so with that caveat, let's talk about how to add subtitles for closed captioning. And so with that, what's going to happen is that YouTube automatically generates subtitles for closed captioning for you. It does take a little bit of time for that to complete. Typically, it definitely happens within 24 hours and often much sooner than that. For these presentations, the closed captioning was available within the hour that I uploaded. So it's fairly quick. And what you're going to do to access those subtitles and make changes as necessary is you go down here on the left-hand panel, which is kind of your main navigation tool. You'll probably, after you upload your video, be either on dashboard or content. But then you move down to subtitles and then select the video that you want to add subtitles to. So in this case, it's this one. I have already set my language to be on English, and so you're going to want to select your language as English. And then once you do, at some point, once the subtitles are finished generating, it will say that they are published and then give you an option to duplicate and edit. Again, sometimes there is some lag time in this, so don't be alarmed if you don't see it immediately. Give it some time, check back later. And then once you do see the duplicate and edit button, go ahead and click it, and then you have your text that is the automatically generated portion that YouTube came up with for what is being said in your slide. And so make the corrections as necessary. YouTube does not do punctuation, it doesn't do capitalization, and so go ahead and add in any of those, change any words that are wrong, such as this one, it slightly misheard the name of the conference, and just keep on going and making those corrections to your research slide so that it is as accurate as possible for any folks who might be using closed captioning and accessible. And so once you have finished all of your edits to the closed captioning text, you can go ahead and press publish, and then boom, it is up. And so you see the second file generated that says it's English and that's the video language. And then if after the fact you realize, oh shoot, I totally forgot to make this edit that I'm just now noticing, then you would edit this English video language file. So press edit, and then you can find it here where it's a little bit more broken up, or you can change the view to edit as text and scroll through it that way, whichever is easier for you. But either way, that's how you can sort of make updates to your closed captioning. And that is it. That brings us to the end of our tutorials about how it is that you prepare your poster presentation, how you save it as a video file, how you upload it to YouTube, and how you provide us with the YouTube link. And in terms of the YouTube link, that just happens when you go to content, and then you can go ahead and click on this one that says view on YouTube. That will open it up in a new tab, but you can also just copy the link address and send that to us. But either way, that's how you get your YouTube link. And that is all. We will be happy to see you at the Gabriel E. Gallardo Research Student Leadership and Advocacy Symposium. And please, again, let us know if you have any questions or concerns about preparing or uploading your presentation materials. Send those questions to uwmcnair@uw.edu. Have a great day.